So what do the players get if they accept the deal that is on the table, the deal that the NFL formally accepted yesterday when the owners got together? Well, one of the things is how they cut the pie. 48.5% is what the total output will be for the players. And there's always going to be exceptions, deductions, and things get a little screwy before you start carving it up. But it's a good percentage, it's a better percentage than what they currently get. And that gives them a motivation to grow the pie as much as possible. That's one of the reasons why I think D. Smith is pushing this now, because if you get better TV deals, that's more money that ultimately goes to the players via the money that's available under the salary cap. Some other highlights, Big Cat. Minimum salary would go up $90,000 right away for all players. And look, we talk about guys making $25, $30 million a year all the time. There are a lot of guys who are making the absolute minimum. You kick it up by $90,000, that's a significant bump. Also, 4 more players per roster when they go to 17 games, more jobs, more players. That's something that players have wanted. A big concession that we never thought the league would make. Now, they haven't gotten rid of the marijuana policy if they accept this new proposal, but the marijuana policy is basically going to be gutted. They will reduce the testing window from late April to early August, so you have to stay clean the whole time until your number comes up for your annual marijuana test. It's going to be reduced to a 2-week window. So you only have to be clean for that 2 weeks, and you no longer have to be as clean as you used to be. Several years ago, they moved the minimum threshold of THC metabolites, or whatever the specific term is, to 35 nanograms. Now they're going to move it to 150, and noted marijuana expert Chris Sims tells me it takes about 5 days to get under 150 nanograms, and he knows that from experience. So he likes that. Now, again, it doesn't cost the owners anything, Big Cat. We saw this a lot in 2011. When it's time to get the deal done, all of a sudden, the owners start making concessions on all sorts of things that cost them nothing. And actually, the current marijuana policy does cost the owners because it keeps quality players off the field for no good reason. That will end, for the most part, under this new CBA.
That's a no-brainer. And if you've ever been around football players and pro athletes, like, a lot of guys use it recreationally for pain management in states that are legal. Like, this is the evolving times here where you have to kind of catch up with, people's thoughts around marijuana and looking across the country and how many states have it legalized and how ridiculous it is that the NFL would basically have strict policies. It's crazy. So it's smart that they're doing this, because I think this is actually a big point for the players, that they basically are making these tests stupidity tests. Like, can you stop smoking weed for 5 days? And if you can do that, then you can play and you're fine. So it's smart that they're doing that. And I agree with you. Like, it's funny how NFL owners always have a few things that they can basically give to the players that really don't end up costing them anything, and it looks like they're negotiating. And they're always negotiating from a place of strength, because at the end of the day, we've seen it with the lockouts or the, threatened lockouts. Guys don't want to go from, a season of playing football and getting paid millions to not getting paid millions and sitting on their couch. I wouldn't either. I don't blame the players one bit. It's just a very hard position to be in if you potentially are losing millions and millions of dollars in the prime of your career over a CBA that should get signed.
And I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole now. I spoke at length about this last hour, Big Cat, but I wonder whether or not the union model even works for the players. And let me explain this as simply as I can, because you're not going to have players who want to miss football games and want to give up gigantic salaries for a full year to exert maximum leverage on the owners. I think the better approach for the players could be let the CBA expire, decertify the union, and then let the league implement its rules, and you just sue them into, as you would say, Bolivian over every rule that these 32 independent businesses are trying to apply to its collective workforce. Because let me tell you, Big Cat, the antitrust violations are rampant if you take away the protection that comes from having a unionized workforce. You take away a unionized workforce, the franchise tag, antitrust violation, salary cap, antitrust violation, the draft, antitrust violation. That may be the best way for the players to attack the league now. And that's exactly what happened with the Reggie White antitrust lawsuit. After the failed strike, the union had an antitrust lawsuit that lasted for 5 years. They had the NFL on the ropes, and they got free agency that way. They may need to think about going back to that to get their best possible deal.
Okay, I don't understand anything you just said. It makes no sense to me, but I will take your word for it. You were a lawyer. Everyone knows Mike Florio never lost a case he won. So I'm going to take your word for it. I'm going to take your word for it. This makes sense.
But let me make sure you understand. Because the NFL isn't one unified business. It's 32 different businesses. And when they start having rules among 32 businesses, this is like McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, all having rules about how much we're going to pay and how much money is available to pay our workers and how we can trade workers from one to the other. And we draft our workers coming in. It would be treated as 32 unique businesses, and it would be chaos. There would be no draft. There would be no franchise tag. You would sign a contract with your employer, and when it ends, you go wherever you want to go. That may be the best way for the players to attack every antitrust violation without a union, to give the league cover and to give the league an exemption from antitrust violations. That may be the way to do it. That may be the only way to get the best possible deal. And if they're not prepared to do that, if they're not prepared to go on strike, they just need to take this deal.
You're the candidate of change. I mean, that's, I don't,
Candidate
again,
of
I don't
chaos.
understand it. Candidate of chaos. I love it. I think it makes sense. I'm sure someone smarter than both of us will say that's stupid, but I like it.
It's a low bar.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.